Hey everyone, it's Jessica Michaels here for another layout for the Shimmerz Paints design team, and today I'm using day 1 sketch from 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life with this sketch by Eve, so thank you so much for the inspiration. And I am starting this out with my typical clear gesso. I'm just using my spatula from Amazon to spread it on my page pretty generously. What this does is this preps my paper. I have a pretty thick cardstock here. I think it's over 100-pound weight, but I like to prep it with a gesso because it prepares your paper to hold up to all of these heavy wet mediums, and it also allows blendability between the colors as well. I am cutting some chevrons while that dries, and I'm just using the Summer Break collection by Echo Park, which is one of my current favorites. It's a really good one for heading into summer with all of those beautiful summer photos that we all have. So I've been getting a lot of use out of this lately and scrapping some older photos, and that's what I'm doing today. I've got a photo that I'm going to use today of my son and daughter at a party at my my sibling's house for one of her kids, and we were just having fun and playing cornhole, and my kids just thought it was hilarious to sit on the cornhole boards, so that's what the photo is of. And I'm just cutting out some chevrons here to go along with that sketch, and I decided I want to rough them up, and I wanted kind of two different patterns. I wanted to back them and make it have like an outline of another color, so I'm using 2 of those pattern papers from this collection, and as you can see, I've roughed them up, and then I'm also going to do some machine stitching on those in a bit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get started on that mixed media because it needs time to dry, and my paper is prepped and ready to go at this point. So I'm pulling out some Shimmerz products. This one here is the Pull Me Close color, and I've just spritzed some water down first on my layout, and then I'm just applying these just very roughly with my paintbrush. And as you can see, I'm adding water as I go because that's really going to get your colors to blend together and just create that beautiful kind of color wash ombre effect like I have going here. I didn't like those dark splatters, but that is something that's really great about using gesso. It's very forgiving, so if you don't like something that you did, you can immediately pretty much dry it up with a paper towel. I'm just flicking on some water there to just create a nice marbling effect between the colors. It just kind of breaks them up a little bit. I'll also pull out some white craft paint. It's just some white acrylic paint, which is something I like to use to break up those colors as well. Sometimes I'll use white gesso. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing and what I have out at the time. Here you can see I'm splattering water. You can see that kind of breaks it up. And then I decided it wasn't broken up enough for my liking, so I did pull out that white acrylic paint. The other colors that I have here, that second Shimmerz there, that first one's that Pull Me Close, and the second one is Peacock's Plume. The third is an Inklingz called Oakie Bear Blue, and then the orange one is a Shimmerz product called Pumpkin. And then as you'll see here in a moment, I'm adding that orange right now, but everything will blend together nicely. And what I like about the Shimmerz products is it dries a lot softer than what it looks like right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my heat gun just to speed up some of these pools, and then I'll use my paper towel to kind of dry up the bigger pools so they're not so wet. And I want to get this dried up fairly quick. And when these Shimmerz products dry, they do dry softer. So everyone always wants to know, what's the difference between the products? The Inklingz are a little bit more pigmented than the Shimmerz products. The Shimmerz have a lot of shimmer to them, so they're very glittery. You can see here it's pretty dry at this point and how much lighter that turned out. That's why I like to pull in some vibes sometimes when I'm using these Shimmerz and kind of mix in some of that too, because when the Shimmerz is wet, it looks very, very dark and pigmented, which is what I love. And then they do dry a lot softer and lighter, which I also love that effect too. But here you can see I'm just coming in with a little bit of Jeni Blue in vibes because I know that's going to be a little bit more pigmented where I want it to be, where these chevrons, it'll peek out around the chevrons. So I just like to go in and add some of that sometimes when I'm using the Shimmerz. But the Vibes products are going to be a lot more pigmented and they'll stay a bit more bold if that's what you want to go for. And the Shimmerz products do kind of soften up as they dry, which is also very beautiful, but it just depends on what look that you're going for. So I have my photos here, and then the sketch design had a couple little Polaroids in it behind the photo. So I'm actually just cutting out a couple Polaroids here. I just cut them out on my die cutting machine with one of my dies from my stash, and I'm backing them with little pattern papers from this small paper pad from this collection. And I think that's going to be super cute, and I'm just going to pop those in behind my photo for some extra layers. And then my photo itself, I'll layer up as well. Probably just one pattern paper this time. I want to keep it kind of simple because I have that mixed media going on. So a lot of times when I do mixed media, I try to keep my the rest of my layout kind of simple and not add a ton of stuff, because I really want that mixed media to shine and to just be kind of like a piece of art. So I've got my photo here in my little Polaroids that I'm going to put behind my photo. I'm just going to pull out my chevrons here. You can see I finished those up on my sewing machine. I just did some rough stitching on that just to finish those off, and then I'll go ahead and adhere those down to my layout. Again, I'm going to cover up a lot of this mixed media, but you can see it just peeks through, and that's really what I was going for, to just have like a mixed media background peeking through there. And on the sketch, it looked like it had some mixed media behind the chevrons as well. So that's really what I was going for on this one. So I'll link below all the products that I'm using so you guys don't have to remember everything as usual. If you want to grab anything from the shops, I will put the descriptions and links down below in the description for you, and then you can just click on those. And if you purchase anything from the Shimmerz shop, make sure to put my name, Jessica, in the notes section of your order, and that will get you a free gift along with your order. So I've got some little bits here left over from this collection and left over from another layout that I did. So I just decided to throw that cute little chevron border, or not chevron border, the scallop border underneath my chevrons. I've got so many shapes going today, and I thought that looked cute down at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. That works really well whenever you're using mixed media, because sometimes mixed media isn't adhesive friendly, like with tape runners. So I like to use some Nuvo glue on things that I'm actually adhering down to mixed media. It just tends to work a little bit better. So that's my last chevron going down here at the bottom. I'm going to lift up my photos, careful not to move them around too much, because I really like the placement of them and where they are right now. So I just want them to kind of be in the same place. I know sometimes when I move things around, when I'm trying to stick things down, I tend to move things around and can't quite get it back to where I liked it. But I think this one I did a pretty good job and it worked out. I've got some twine here. I'm going to use that in a bit, but I wanted to cut this little binder clip here first and get that down on top of my photos. This sketch had like a little, I think it was like a little paper clip or something, but I really love these binder clips. That's a die that I've had in my stash for quite some time, actually. I think it's by Bramble Fox, if I remember right. It came in like a little office supply set, but I love it. I use it all the time, and it's one of my favorite dies from my stash. So I'm just going to take some of that little black and white striped twine and thread through that, and then I'm going to actually thread it down through my chevrons and just kind of twirl it around and just give it a little bit of flow. And what this does is it actually just adds a little bit more interest to my page, and also I don't have to put as many embellishments on this way, because now I've got that fun little twine element. I'm just going to use a little bit of Nuvo glue here and there to just glue down these pieces here so they're not all over the place and they stay exactly where I want them to. And then I've got my title there laying by my little Shimmerz pots. It says Play All Day. It's one of the chipboard embellishments from this collection, and there's a lot of really good titles in this collection, I must say. It has a whole bunch of chipboard titles, and then we've got the sticker book, we've got a sticker sheet, and there's a whole bunch of different summary fun titles all over the place. So lots of different things that you can use for all of your summary fun kind of layouts, which I just love. And I love to add all kinds of stuff to my layouts. You guys know that you've watched my videos before, and if you've been here and been watching, you know that I am a big cluster scrapbooker. So I love to create little embellishment clusters and sprinkle in lots of little bits and pieces on my layout. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here, but this is like what I call a more toned down kind of layout. I don't go totally overboard. I don't think so anyways. Maybe to some people they might think I do, but I tend to think that I kept this one pretty low key for the most part. But I really loved all the little cameras and cute little things in this collection, so I'm just kind of layering a few things here and there, and I've got that flair, that little cup from Scrappin Happy Studio. That's one of her canvas flares that I'm going to pop down, and I'm going to add some thread with some glue dots behind it. And I'll probably do the same thing too with that orange sticker as well, just because it's round as well. So I'm just going to finish up embellishing this, and then I'll pop in here at the end with the finished layout. Here's where I had my little whoopsie moment with my stamp, and I thought, you know what, it's wet enough, I can probably just wipe it right off because it's a shiny sticker. It did not work, which I honestly didn't like really think that it was going to work, but I thought, you know what, it's still kind of wet, so maybe it would wipe off. It didn't, but here's how I fix it. I just went ahead and stamped my date underneath, and then I added just a word phrase and another little sticker. So I like to think of this as like a happy little accident, and I actually like it better this way anyways, so it worked out in the end. So here's what the finished layout turned out to look like. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this process today. If you have any questions for me, please let them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Again, you can use my code Jessica if you place a Shimmerz paints order in the notes section to get a free gift. And I will link all the products down below as well as the playlist for 30 days of sketches. So thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.